Waleed Aly has been very successful. He used to be spokesman for the Islamic Council of Victoria and then, take off. A host of the ABC, a host on Channel 10's The Project, a columnist at The Age, a job as an academic, an expert on terrorism no less, a seat with his wife and with Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull at the Prime Minister's iftar dinner. But in all of this, there's been this curious thread. For instance, when Boko Haram, a terrorist group, kidnapped hundreds of Christian girls in Nigeria, Ali was brought on to Channel 10 to explain this and never once said that Boko Haram was an Islamist group. He said they're a really, really hard group to define, and this particular group have done this particular thing. It's hard to identify who they are. And they might just be vigilantes. Vigilantes? Well, the clue is actually in Boko Haram's name. Haram, Arabic, forbidden Western education. And another clue was in the video released by Boko Haram's leader. Death to the unbelievers, like the United Nations and its head.
Ban Ki-moon and his people generally, and any unbeliever, this is a tawhid. This war is against Christians. I mean Christians.
No, just vigilantes. Don't know what they're about, says Waleed. Again, when two Islamists blew up people at the Boston Marathon, Ali assumed from the start, before you knew precisely who'd done this, that the very real suspicion was that the perpetrators were self-styled American patriots and our own societies might just be implicated. And then last week, after the huge explosion in BEIRUT, more than 160 people killed, which I told you hours later was almost certainly caused by a huge shipment of ammonium nitrate left at the docks for 8 years. Waleed Aly, though, got on a guest who, for no good reason, or any reason I could tell, apart from a nefarious one, suggested this horror was caused by Jewish Israel.
Joe, the official explanation for this is that this was the result of poorly stored ammonium nitrate. Is that explanation being widely accepted by people there?
No. I would say 99% of the people I've spoken with, and I'm talking about Lebanese people exclusively, they all feel that that's not necessarily the correct explanation. So people are more likely to believe that this was an attack, a military attack, possibly by Israel, who knows, than an accident.
Is that just because of a general culture of suspicion of government, for example, and of the geopolitics of the region, or do they have kind of more specific reasons for doubting that explanation in this case?
Well, I mean, obviously there's a historical aspect here that cannot be ignored. You know, Lebanon and Israel are never in good terms, and so there's always this tension going on, and people are always expecting something like this to happen.
Joining me on Newswatch is Gerard Henderson, head of the Sydney Institute, columnist with the Australian newspaper and author of the Media Watchdog blog. Gerard, the thing about that last segment was not once did Waleed Aly question that crazy theory that Israel just blown up a great chunk of Beirut.
Well, it was a conspiracy theory. There were leading questions into it. When Israel was named by the person being interviewed, Waleed Aly didn't make any interjection, didn't challenge it. And subsequently, as far as I'm aware, from what I've seen of the project, it hasn't been corrected. It has been, I understand, taken down from some of their online sites. But on the program the night after, no one apologised. You probably wouldn't expect that on the project. It's a kind of left-wing program, but no one apologised. But more importantly, no one corrected it. You would expect a correction, or at least a qualification, didn't get it. So anyone who saw the program on that night and saw nothing else would think that the Israelis bombed the port of... And the concept that 99% of Lebanese believe that, I mean, that is just ludicrous and should have been challenged. I don't think 99% of Lebanese would believe any one particular thing, and certainly I don't think 99% of Lebanese would believe that Israel bombed the port.
No, in fact, the government has just resigned precisely because most Lebanese think the government was responsible for misstoring this stuff. Yeah. I don't know who this guy hangs around with that they managed to find as their expert, but I'd check his background a little more carefully. How do you explain the rise and rise of Waleed Aly?
Well, to start with, he's a talented broadcaster. He writes well, but he fits into the required left-wing fashion. So he appeals to the project. It's essentially a left-wing program on Channel 10. He appeals to the ABC, where he appears on Radio National. He appears on ABC TV because it's a left-wing organisation. So he fits the kind of narrative the ABC wants to portray, and he does it with a certain degree of talent. But I wouldn't say he does it with a certain degree of balance.
No, he doesn't at all. And Gerard, a very quick one, more job redundancy, sackings at Channel 10, newspapers and blah, blah.
Yeah. I'm
worried about the ABC getting progressively much stronger relating, vis-a-vis the commercial media.
Well, what's sad about 10 is they got rid of some of their news, but they've kept the project. As to the ABC, it's getting stronger. There's nothing much that the government can do because the board doesn't run the ABC, the chair doesn't run the ABC, the managing director does, and he's got another 4 years on his contract. But what the government can do is not give it, but it cannot give it any more money. And the best thing that government can do is just not give the ABC any more money. They've got more than enough already.
Precisely, Gerard. I'm so sorry to cut you off. The New Zealand news has robbed you of space. I'm going to make it up to you next week because there are a few things we need to go through. Gerard Henderson, thank you very much.
Thank you.